The sun was barely up over the dusty plains of Dead River County when rancher Cole Maddox rode out toward the north pasture, unaware that this morning would carve itself into the town's memory like a cattle brand. Cole wasn't the type to chase mysteries. He handled cattle, fences, and long days. But something had changed in the land these past few weeks. The livestock spooked at random. Shadows moved where nothing should be, and strange tracks appeared along the riverbank. When he reached the ridge overlooking his property, he spotted someone kneeling near an old collapsed storage shed. A young woman he'd seen only once before in town, the one people whispered about because she stayed isolated, living near the abandoned mines. Her name was Mara, and although Cole hardly knew her, he could tell she was searching for something with urgency. As he approached, Mara didn't turn. Instead, she murmured, "Don't look there." Cole froze, confused. She finally glanced back at him, her face pale, her voice trembling, even though she tried hiding it. "I'm serious. Don't look." But Cole had already caught sight of something. Beyond the fallen boards, something half buried in the dirt, glinting faintly in the morning light. He dismounted, ignoring her warning, and stepped closer. Mara grabbed his arm, but he gently pulled away. "If there's danger on my land, I need to know," he said firmly. Mara cursed under her breath and backed away like she didn't want the responsibility of whatever he was about to uncover. Cole squatted down, brushing aside the dirt, revealing an odd metal shard, smooth, sharp-edged, and unlike anything used on a ranch. It was warm, strangely warm, as if it had been sitting near a fire. "Where did this come from?" he asked, but Mara didn't answer. She only shook her head. Cole could sense she was hiding something. But before he could press further, a distant shout echoed across the field. Two men on horseback approached, members of the Dalton family, known troublemakers with more bark than bite, but loud enough to start a fight if they smelled an advantage. "Maddox!" Jed Dalton yelled. "You stay back from that girl." His brother rode next to him, scowling. "She's brought nothing but trouble since she arrived in these parts." Cole stood slowly, pocketing the metal shard without letting them see. "She's not hurting anyone," he replied. But the Daltons dismounted aggressively, their boots thudding as they closed the gap. Jed jabbed a finger toward Mara. "She's been sneaking around properties that ain't hers. Folks seen her at night, digging in places she doesn't belong." Mara stepped behind Cole, shaking her head. "I'm not stealing anything. I'm trying to stop something." Her words were barely audible. Jed scoffed. "Stop what? The wind?" The tension crackled like static. Cole had never been fond of the Daltons, but their hostility today seemed oddly personal. He kept calm. "If she's trespassing, I'll handle it. It's my land, not yours." That enraged Jed instantly. "Don't look there, don't touch that, don't meddle," he mocked, Cole in a childish tone. "But you keep digging your nose where you shouldn't. You always have." Cole ignored him and turned back toward the shed. But Jed grabbed his shoulder and spun him around. "We warned you," Jed snarled. "Dead River doesn't need strangers stirring up trouble, and it sure doesn't need you defending them." Cole stepped forward, forcing Jed back. "Last warning, Jed. Go home." But before anything more could escalate, Mara suddenly pointed toward the ridge behind them. "Look!" she shouted. All four turned as a low rumble vibrated through the ground. A column of dust rose, followed by the thunderous sound of hooves, hundreds of them. A wild stampede, far larger than Cole's herd, was barreling straight toward them. The Daltons jumped onto their horses, yelling in panic. Mara grabbed Cole's arm again. "This is why I said don't look," she whispered urgently. "Because once you look, once you see the signs, it begins." Cole stared at her, bewildered, but there was no time. They sprinted toward safer ground, hearts pounding as the stampede roared closer. When they reached a rocky ledge and caught their breath, Cole looked back down at the land below. Chaos everywhere. Yet Mara wasn't looking at the herd. She was staring at the metal shard bulging in Cole's pocket. "Now you've involved yourself," she said softly, almost mournful. "And the town will blame you before they ever blame the truth." Cole frowned, confused and exhausted. "What truth? What's going on?" Mara exhaled shakily. "Something hidden, something old, and something the townsfolk would rather ignore. And by picking up that shard, you just chose to see what they refused to." Cole's jaw tightened. He didn't understand her completely, but he knew one thing. He'd stumbled into something far deeper than a simple mystery. Something that would turn Dead River against him. Something he couldn't walk away from anymore. By noon, the stampede had stormed past, leaving only dust, broken brush, and confused whispers drifting across the ranch. Word spread fast, too fast, because by the time Cole and Mara reached town, a crowd had already gathered near the sheriff's office, buzzing like hornets. Some people glared at Mara instantly, as if she were the desert storm that blew into their peaceful routine. Others glared at Cole, disappointed that a man they once respected was walking beside someone they didn't trust. Sheriff Alder, stern-faced and tired of drama, stepped onto the porch. "Cole, step forward," he boomed. Mara moved with him, but the sheriff raised a hand. "Not her, you," the crowd murmured. Cole planted his boots firmly. "If you want to talk, you'll talk to both of us." Alder's jaw twitched, but he allowed it. "Fine. Explain why a stampede nearly destroyed half your land and why these two Daltons claim you're hiding something dangerous on the property." Trails of murmurs snaked through the crowd. Cole narrowed his eyes. "Dangerous? They don't even know what they saw." Jed Dalton emerged angrily. "We saw enough. That girl was digging around things she shouldn't touch, and Maddox here found something. He won't show nobody." Mara stepped forward quietly. "Because you'd only panic." Alder held up a hand. "Quiet, all of you." He fixed his gaze on Cole. "Is it true? Did you find something?" Everyone leaned closer, the entire town breathing down Cole's neck. He pulled the metal shard from his pocket and held it up. Gasping rippled through the crowd, not from fear but confusion. The shard looked unfamiliar, like it didn't belong in this world of leather, rope, and iron. Alder frowned at it. "What in all the territories is that?" Mara answered before Cole could. "It's part of a larger object buried near the ridge. Something ancient." Some townsfolk chuckled nervously. Others stepped back as if the shard might leap from Cole's hand. Jed grumbled, "We don't need myths and nonsense. We need things left alone." "That's exactly the problem," Mara replied. "You'd rather blame people than face what's happening." The sheriff rubbed his temples. "Enough. Cole, bring this shard to my office. We'll figure out what to do next." But before Cole could take a step, old Mr. Hayworth pushed through the crowd, his cane sinking into the dirt. "I've seen that metal before," he rasped. Silence fell instantly. "Back when I was a boy, miners found pieces like that deep in the canyon walls. They said the earth spit them out after storms. Folks ignored it, but cattle acted strange then, too." Fear began moving through the crowd like a slow wave. Cole felt the weight of everyone's growing suspicion, fear mixed with anger. Mara whispered, "They're turning on you already." She was right. A woman pointed at Mara accusingly. "You brought this." "Ever since you came here, bad things have followed." Others nodded, emotion overtaking reason. Cole raised his voice. "Enough!" "She didn't cause anything, whatever this thing is. It's been buried for decades, long before she arrived. But fear doesn't listen to logic." And the town began to unravel. Someone yelled, "Get rid of it!" Another shouted, "Bury it again!" Someone else cried, "Run her out!" Sheriff Alder blew his whistle, but the crowd wouldn't settle. Cole grabbed Mara's arm gently. "We're leaving." They backed away slowly until they were outside the circle of shouting people. Once far enough, they hurried toward the stables. Mara's voice cracked. "I told you." "Once you looked, you can't unsee, and they can't forgive." Cole saddled his horse quickly. "Then we'll find answers ourselves." "There has to be a reason all this is happening." Mara hesitated. "If we go back to the ridge, we might uncover more than you want to know." Cole mounted the horse, then reached down, offering her his hand. "Or we might uncover enough to protect this town, even from itself." She took his hand. They rode hard across the plains until the shouts faded behind them. By twilight, they reached the ridge again. Mara dismounted first and cautiously approached the half-buried area. The ground had shifted from the stampede, revealing more glimmers of metal below. Cole knelt beside her, brushing away dirt. Larger fragments emerged, connected by a faint, intricate pattern etched into the metal. It didn't resemble machinery, tools, or weaponry. It was something older. Something designed with purpose. Mara breathed. Everyone feared it. That's why they never dug deeper. Cole studied the strange patterns and whispered, maybe what they feared wasn't the object. Maybe it was the truth. And as the stars rose above Dead River County, the two outsiders, one by choice, one by accident, prepared to face a mystery that the entire town refused to acknowledge. A truth buried under their feet, waiting to surface. And this time, Cole knew he wouldn't look away.